think we are recording now. So let's get back to our assignment. So what we needed to do here was to create our project, to create simply just create new folder somewhere wherever we want our project to be located, stored, and then to have some folders inside as a base setup, and then our entry point, which is index.html file, and then to do some basic structure inside, to use some HTML5 tags, and to add jQuery script. Hello, we're just starting.
Sorry, the
No
traffic
worries.
was bad.
Yeah, it was. And then jQuery, we won't be doing anything around jQuery. I just wanted to kind of get you to try to download it and how to just link it, as it's the same basic thing as you doing your style.css. So you have external file that you're just linking it to your page. So that's the same way with jQuery. The thing that you all missed, and it's part of my fault too, it's that version number. So the file that you download and how the name that you saved it as, that's how you need to call it in your script. And you were all basically probably copying from the instructions, where is the 3.1.1 version, and the one that the newest one that you guys were downloading is 3.3.1. So it's very easy to kind of miss that number, and that's why you all had the script there, but it wasn't loading. And I'm going to show you where you can see that's not working, so you can debug yourself later and check and see, oh, okay, this is not loading. So so we'll go over that really quick. So let's open our let's see. So this is my, let's see, add folder. So I'm going right click and I'm just adding folder to my workspace, as you all did last time. And let's say in week, let's say I have my week 1 project. That's my folder, and I'm clicking add, and it gets added here. I'm gonna remove all this that we have from last time. All the folders. Okay. So when I say root of your folder, that means just, when you open the folder and that first level, that's the root, right? So first we need to create our entry point inside that folder as soon as you open the folder. So we do new file and we say, okay, index.html, and that's our index, our entry point to the site. And we use that shortcut for Emmet that most of the code editors, I think now Dreamweaver has that too. Did you try Dreamweaver Emmet, this like auto completion thing? Does it work? No?
I did mine in Dreamweaver, and because I just didn't have the time to.
Yeah, I
nor
understand.
the patience to learn this one, but how did you get into for the index? Because you hit new.
Okay, in Dreamweaver will be probably a little bit.
Visual Studio now, so I can.
Oh, okay. So I went to, so here on the sidebar, you probably don't have anything when you open your code editor. It's empty. So it's called workspace. So this is your workspace, and you can have multiple workspaces for different projects, whatnot. So I clicked right click and add folder to workspace. So when you click that, it opens you a browser, Windows Explorer, or on Mac is File Explorer, and then you just select that folder that you created for your project, and you say, okay, add that folder to my project. So you can browse inside this editor here. Are you able to get that?
I see the folder I created. Hold on.
So you have to create your folder separate, like outside of Visual Studio. create folder somewhere on your computer, and then you just need to add it to your workspace here. So you see I have two folders right now. I have this web 2 and I have this one, but we don't need this actually. I can just remove it. So right now, let me turn all this off, close all.
Okay.
So right now I only have week 1 project added, and inside that I just created index.html file, which is empty right now, doesn't have anything. So to use that Emmet helper, Emmet is the one that the tool that helps us to autocomplete things for us. So very good one that comes out of box with Visual Studio Code. You just type exclamation point, you click, press tab, and it does the whole basic structure for HTML. This just saves time because it doesn't make sense for us to type this every time. I mean, we went through the tags and we need to know what they mean, but how you call it? But we don't need to type them manually every time. So let me just open another one right quick. One for me here. Come on. So this is our initial setup. We can change title here to what we want, web 2 actually. We went through all these tags last time, what they mean. What I asked you in the rubric is to add description, and that's, you can do it like, I'll copy it real quick. Meta description, it looks like this, meta tags, but the description is the one that Google sees. If your site shows up on in Google search, your page title will be that first big blue letters, the link, and then underneath that text, it comes from that tag. So it's going to be like this. Okay, I'll just copy. And I think actually, let's try. I think that Visual Studio Code will help us. So if we start typing meta, you see it's getting us some of them, but not it doesn't give us description, so we have to type it. So we do meta, we do name, which is what kind of meta tag we want. There's a lot of them. So the one that we want is description, and then you do what is the content of that, and here there is research like how long this should be and what it should do, but that's a little bit outside of this class. I mean, I'm sure if you had writing for digital media, I think Melissa covers that there, a lot of these things. It should be pretty much not more than 2 sentences, and you kind of just explain your site really quickly, what is about. Is it like selling? Is it just describe, you know, your site the best you can, so when people get it on Google, they will it will make sense, right, when they see the tag there. So that's the meta tag.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Is that description, is that what you said that is like underneath the link in a Google search? Is that what you said that was?
So yeah, pretty much. Let me see if I can open Google here to show you. So there is a lot of techniques behind how your site will show up, but this is one of the things that you should, and Google will know what that meta tag means, so it will help in get you in front of somebody else that does the same thing as your website, right? Which is great, very important if you sell services and stuff like that. So let's see, north, west, east. So you see this here. This text most than likely is coming from the description. from that tag. So this is the page title most of the time. That's this tag right here, and then this is the description. But there is a lot of plugins, depends on the platform and stuff like that. But these are the basic ones that you should have, you know. It used to be that keywords, there was a keyword meta tag, but now it's not that relevant anymore. So from our, we said we need to create, so we created our index.html, which is our entry. We set up like the basic one here. Let's just say h1 here really quick, just so we can test. So you see I just type h1 without those less than and greater than, and then I just press tab and it opens up for you. And I think Leonard shared the cheat sheet on Slack, and you can see all those. I mean, a lot of them I'm not even using, but the more you know, the more you try to memorize, the faster you will do these things. And then we'll just open this real quick, and our page is there. You see our title here, and it's up and running. So we need our folders now. We said we're gonna set up our CSS to hold all our CSS files. We need folder JS that's gonna hold all our JavaScripts that we're gonna do later on. Right now we won't have any, but we that's like most of the time, 99.9% you'll have JavaScript in your site. I mean, it's just the way it is, at least jQuery. So images folder, this can be different. If it's bigger project, then you're gonna have assets folder, and then inside that you're gonna have images, you're gonna have, I don't know, logos, whatnot, however you organize later on, fonts, maybe stuff like that. And then vendor is folder that usually people build, create for third-party stuff that you use, like jQuery library is not something that we wrote, right? It's somebody else's stuff, so we put it into that folder. If we use those little icons called Font Awesome, then you also will put it there, and anything that it's not yours, right, pretty much, that you're using, it's good place to put it there. So we will create this. Same thing, just hover over our project folder. You can do that in your file explorer in Windows or Mac. You can go and create those folders there, but you can also do them here. I usually do them inside of my code editor. So you just go and say new folder, you name it CSS. And for folders, try to use lowercase and no spaces. It's just better practice. You can run into some issues if you use spaces or special characters and stuff like that. So another one that we said we need is JS, the same root, they're the same level, right? The index is in the same level as this JS and CSS folder. And then we said we want our vendor folder. So inside our CSS, we said we want to have, the next step was we need to have our own CSS file. So usually the name of it, you can name it however you want, but usually it's like style or styles or my style or main. So we can use it, we can create style.css, and right now will be empty. And then inside vendor, oh, come on. I said we're gonna name it Jake, so this was the mistake right here. I changed it later, but originally it was 3.3.1. And you can just name it jQuery if you want. You don't have to, but it's good for you to create a file that has the version in, so in case you update, you download the newer version, you just change the version name. So the way, let's say we want to create first that empty file that is called jQuery dot 3.3.1 dot min. It usually indicates that the version, that library is minified, which means it all the white empty spaces, the comments, everything is deleted, so everything is compressed pretty much. So that's the one that we're gonna download, and then the extension is JS because jQuery is JavaScript library, and right now it's empty, so we need to go and download our JavaScript jQuery. So here I gave you the link, but usually, I mean, it's jQuery.com and then /download, and you can Google jQuery download and it's gonna come out. So we go there, and here are the different versions, and here you see download the compressed, which is that min. Compressed mean minified, compressed or minified, that's the same. It's just, you know, compressed without it's smaller in size, so loads quicker and all that stuff. So you just click here, you see the version is 3.3.1, and you click there, it opens up that full, so we don't really need to worry about what is inside. We just want to copy everything, so you do select all, and then I'm gonna copy and go back to the file that we created, and I'm just gonna paste everything here and save the file. So you can go to save here, file and save. Usually I just do Control S or Command S, it's just faster, save it right there. So that's done, and let's just add on our one style, in our style CSS, we're just gonna do, let's say, body, and then we're gonna do background color, and then if we start typing some of those, Visual Studio Code can give us some of those predefined colors that browsers understand. So Alice blue is that light blue color, whatnot. So if we go to refresh our page, right, nothing happens because we didn't link our styles to the page. So the page doesn't know that these styles, the CSS exist, so it doesn't do anything here. So we need inside our head section, that's where you add your CSS styles. So we do, and Visual Studio Code of course helps us again here. We start typing link, and it gives us right here CSS option. We press enter, and it just writes stuff for us here. But you can type this by your hand manually if you want. It's basically link rel equals style sheet, because here can be something else, but this our is style sheet. And then we need to say href is like location, where is that file stored. So in relation to our index.html, that's how we say from here go and find the file right there. So if we need to go inside the CSS folder, so, and it's on CSS folder is on the same level as index, so we don't need to do anything else except just saying go straight to CSS folder. And you see Visual Studio Code is showing us, yes, there is a folder named CSS, and we click that and it finds even what the file name is inside, so you can't mess it up, you know. If you type it manually, you maybe sometimes you mistype and it doesn't load, and you say, oh man, what's going on? But that's Visual Studio Code, and majority of editors now help you with that. So there it is, and that's all we need to do so now our styles will be loaded every time with our page. So let's check it. We go back, we refresh. This Alice blue, you can tell that there is background color or not. It's very light, so let's change it to something else. Let's change it to yellow. I hate it, but let's do it. So right there, right? So so we know that's how we check, for example, that our styles are correctly. So we're gonna delete everything. We don't need any styles for now. And now the last part was just to link your jQuery, and that's where you guys struggled a little bit. So you all are good with how we downloaded the file? I mean, we downloaded the code and we pasted inside our file that we created. So all it's left here, oops, sorry, Siri, it's to link jQuery to our page. And we said jQuery because jQuery interacts with our tags on our page. It's usually, most of the time, you will load jQuery at the end of your page. So as a last tag on your body part. So this is where body starts. This is where it's closing. So here the last tag in this section or block will be our jQuery script. Because,
I have a question
yes,
for
go
you.
ahead. Mhm.
How come some of the information it tells us to put the link or the reference on top of the header?
Yes.
And then that's why I got confused because you told us to put it in the body, which either way I tried to do it in the body, but is there a big difference as far as doing it up on the top of the head
Yes.
and doing the bottom, or what would you recommend?
Yes, so there is it's not that I really recommend this. This is how the browser will understand it. So I'll try to explain this again. So here we say to head, this head section is what is getting loaded first to the browser before even start to show anything on the page. It happens really quickly. That's like milliseconds. We don't see that, but that's what is going on in the backend. So we tell the browser load the styles and have them in memory. So when when the browser go ahead and start rendering these elements, it already knows what the color should be, what the size should be, all the styles that we tell it ahead of a time, right? It will do the same if we put this, not actually every time. So this is the way you should do your styles. There's some situations with some other libraries and stuff that goes differently, but this is why we put styles inside our head section. And why you can put jQuery in your head section also, but you will run into problems where jQuery library or JavaScript, if you want to manipulate your DOM elements, like you use your JavaScript to tell, okay, I want this h1 to disappear after half a second. Let's say that's your JavaScript script. So if you load your JavaScript in front here and you say, go and change this h1 to disappear, your JavaScript at this time still doesn't know where your h1 is. I mean, what is h1? Because it's not been loaded yet. Because its browser is loading stuff from top to bottom. So here you're telling it, okay, remove this h1, but the h1 is not even there yet, right? So you need to let the page to render first, and then your JavaScript, when you tell it, okay, go and remove this h1, it will go back and it will find that element there. Because sometimes if you don't do that, it's gonna tell you, you're gonna have error in your console. It's gonna say this object is undefined, stuff like that. So that's why I hope it makes sense.
That's why I got confused. I think it was in Dreamweaver. If I find the screenshot of it, that's why I got confused by it. I'll send it to you. But that's why I was like, wait a minute, how come he's asking me? Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe it was JavaScript or something, but like he was saying, no, you do it in the header. So I just follow your instructions and I try and put it on the body. But I know that the reference sheet, the style sheet, the CSS is always recommended up on the head. And then when I saw that, I was like, what? So.
Well, this is why, because jQuery needs to know all the elements on the page, and if you start it first, it doesn't even know yet for this element. They're not being rendered yet, so it's not gonna know what's going on, what you're referencing. Sometimes you can do jQuery, depends how you use it, or JavaScript, depends what you do with in your script. You can do it ahead of a time, but most of the time, 99% of the time, you will need your jQuery at the end of when the whole page is rendered, all the elements are on the page, and then you can manipulate them. Because JavaScript, it's a language that works inside the browser. So it's called client language, right? It runs on a browser. So if you tell it do something with this, if it's not in a browser yet, it's gonna throw you an error. So that's why as the last one in the body we said we're gonna do script, and then you see Visual Studio Code helping us with source, and then you do vendor, and then you see as soon as we put the / it found the file there, and then you just save, go back here, and nothing will happen. But one thing that you can check if you loaded your jQuery correctly or not, or any file, you go right click on your browser and go to inspect, or if you're using Chrome, you can go here to these 3 dots, go to more tools, and go to developer tools, and this will open you something like this here, and in elements tab you can see our code, right? You can see our index.html, you can recognize all the tags, and even when you hover over, it will highlight on the page where is that element, and we're going to use this for styling and stuff like that. So one thing to check if everything is loading correctly, you can go to this console part. When you click this, here the error will show up. So let's say I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna change like most of you guys did. It was my fault that you guys did that, so that's why I gave you all full points for it, because my link was 3.1.1 version, but actually the one that we are calling here, the one that we have is 3.3.1. So we're telling it to load something that doesn't exist, and let's see what error. So you see the error shows up. So our page is running because we don't do anything with JavaScript, but this is the error that we get. It says 404 not found, and you can see if you hover over here, for example, it's telling you what where that error happened. So it happened in index.html. With this, in our case, it's only file, so that's why it's easy to find it. But if you have tons of files, you're gonna see where this is failing. So we're gonna change that back to the version. So the file that it's the same if we go and do instead of, so our file is style.css. If we say, okay, load me styles.css, and we save and go back, refresh, it says, oh, styles.css. So it's throwing a bunch of errors here. But anyway, it didn't load, right? So that because the name is wrong. So when we change it to the one that we actually have in our files, it's going to load fine. There are no errors. So this console will show you errors. And elements is actually elements of our page. Also, you can open your jQuery right here. You see where we're calling, this is what we just typed. And you can right click and say open in new tab. And if that file exists, it's gonna open it, right? It's opening it right here. So those are 2 ways that you can debug if your stuff are loading fine. Those are simple things right now, but as you have more files, you will need quickly to make sure that everything is in place, you know. So that was pretty much all of our last assignment. So I hope it's a little bit clearer now if there was any confusion. Do you guys have any questions on this? No? You're good? Okay. So let's check our next one for this week. So this is how we're gonna set up, the same as you did this assignment right for last week. This is every time we're gonna, if you wanna do assignment from scratch, for example for this week, if you wanna do it from scratch, you can just do the same steps again. If you want, you can use the same project setup and start working on your final project that we talked about last time. So you can just work on your header, for example, right now, and apply some of the stuff that we're gonna go through. Today we won't be doing a lot of coding. It's gonna be mostly like setting up Visual Studio Code and make sure everyone's are good with that, and see some of those plugins, and then we'll see what else. I think that Koala software. So Dakota, right? So you're using your own computer or using these computers here?
I'm using my own computer.
And do you have, you can install stuff, right? You have access to that. Okay. So do you have Visual Studio Code or are you using something else?
I have Visual Studio Code, but I'm just trying out different editors.
Okay. That's fine, yeah. I mean, I'll just show 3 plugins, and most of the editors have those plugins similarly. They might be called slightly different, but they do the same thing. But these plugins are not requirement. They're just good plugins to have to help you out. And you, Katie, right? You using these computers here or using your own?
I have been, I wasn't able to get, to work on the first assignment because I was out of town until yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been using the one at home.
Okay. Okay, so we will have that another software right now, the last one that we need for our SCSS stuff. So I'll show you, and then you guys can just go ahead and install it and use it. Okay, so here you guys already are slightly or more familiar with Visual Studio Code. And again, you don't have to use it. That's what we're gonna be using here in class, during class, but you can use your Atom or Sublime or Dreamweaver or whatnot, brackets, or I don't even know. There's thousands of them. I don't know them all, but these ones I wanted to show you this time because I think it's very worth checking out. All right, so all the tags from last time, you understand how we use header, and inside header we would use maybe navigation, and then we have main, which would be our main content of our page, and then inside that we can have multiple sections, and those sections can have some paragraphs or divs or whatnot, or things that we covered last time. And why is that good? It's not, you can use only divs or only text if you want, but the best practice is to use those right tags in right places and a footer at the end. So I'm gonna expect you guys to kind of use those tags during the class, and then so your final page can be the best structured as possible. So we said here, this is the sidebar where you can see where it's called workspace inside Visual Studio Code, and here is where you can load multiple projects if you work on more stuff or more websites at the one time. But for now, we're only gonna have one that we're working for this week and then you can open and close by clicking on this icon right here, or shortcut is Command B or Control B on Windows, and then you can just flip left and right. If you need more space, or you just like to work as full-time, full screen type of look, then you can just collapse that. Then here are other here on this icon you can search for files inside your workspace. If you have, let's say, big project, you have a lot of files, you can search through and it will show you real quick. This is for Git, we'll cover that later. And the extensions right here, the last icon, this is where the plugins or extensions are located, and when you click that, a lot of them open, and here you can, in this search bar, you can search for them. So the one that I would recommend you guys is this Beautify, and it's in the module there for the class. Read the modules, and all those links that I put there are pretty much what we're covering every week. So check the modules and go to the links. I put some tutorials and some documentation there. It's gonna just help you how to go through this stuff. So it's Beautify, it's one, GitLens, and Live Server. Beautify, it just beautifies your code here. It just looks a little better. It formats it a little bit for you. So it's pretty good plugin to have. Again, you don't have to install it if you don't want to, but check it out. GitLens is the second one that I would recommend you. We're gonna have it later on when we start using GitHub. It just shows you some things about branching and when last time this file was changed, and it will make more sense once we cover Git a little more detail later on. And then the last one is Live Server, and this one is good. I don't know if you noticed when I open this index.html, when I right click over this file, I can say okay, open. I can say reveal in Finder or open in browser. It's on my other screen. If you're using Windows, it will open File Explorer and it will locate the file, and I can double click here and it will open my page. But if I use that Live Server plugin, let's close them out. If I use that Live Server plugin, when I right click, it's gonna tell me open with Live Server, and I click that and it opens it again. But the main difference is, let me just go out of full screen so you can see what will happen. So right now this page is open through Live Server, and you can see that because it's saying 127.00. So as I make changes to the page, and as soon as I save, so I'm hitting save right now, you see it refreshed the page by itself. So I don't have to go and click refresh. It's just faster way, right? For example, you have two monitors maybe set up like here, and you would have the browser pulled in one monitor, and you would have your code editor in the second monitor, and you're just making changes here, and you can see it's like updating right away there. It's just faster. If you open it just by clicking on it, then you need to, every time you make something, you need to go and refresh the page. It's just faster way of you to work, because also if you work as a freelancer or developer somewhere on hourly base, your managers will track how much time you spend on doing certain task, right? So if you are too slow, they're gonna let you go, right? Because they pay you per hour. So you don't want to be way too fast, but you don't want to be too slow either, because the speed is very valuable to, if you're doing good job, but if you're doing it also faster, they're gonna get you more work and you can charge more and stuff like that, If you're typing everything by hand, I mean, it's gonna take you forever. They're gonna say, what are you doing, They're not gonna let you spend that much time. So these kind of things are created for developers so they can work faster and be more productive.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you use the Live Server,
Uh-huh.
because I always have trouble trying to allocate the files, trying to make sure that they're linked. When you do it like this, like live, and you right click on it, is that gonna affect the web page that you have it, or is it gonna be saving it to the reference that you have it there? Because I just wanna make sure that if I'm using a USB drive or if I'm using the Live Server, any changes are modified, whether using it on live, it's gonna stay where it's supposed to, I guess?
Yes,
Do you understand
because
my question? I'm sorry.
I think so. So let me try to answer to the question that I think I understood.
Okay.
So this Live Server, this page will be refreshed as soon as you save the file.
Oh,
So
okay.
if your file is located on USB, but not as soon as you save it, this will refresh. So it doesn't really care where is your file saved. Is it USB, or it's gonna save it as you would do anyway, right? I mean, if I open this file just by clicking on it and open it in a browser manually, you still need to save your file and then go and refresh. This is the same thing. It just does refresh for you. one thing that you can find out is I cannot have more than one page open with live server. It's gonna say, oh, okay, so if I go and open another one with live server, it's gonna say live server is already running something. So you need to close that and open. I mean, it has disadvantages. You might hear your computer starting to, running a little bit because it's using a little bit of CPU more than, but it's not too big of a deal. So you can still use manual stuff if you want.
So it allows you basically, because that's one of the things I was having trouble with the other day. I was trying to do text edit, and then I had the Mac, then I was trying to transition into the PC, so I was like, oh my goodness, it's not working well. So this is compatible with both
Yes.
Mac and PC.
This
so
is
if I
Visual
can-
Studio Code plugin, so you can run it on Linux, on Mac, on
Okay.
Windows, on anything. So it doesn't have to do anything with the operating system,
Okay.
So, but again, you don't have to use it. You don't have to use it. There's other stuff. You might have some other server running on the same port or whatnot. So it can have some conflicts with some other software that you have if you're running your.
If I'm running Xcode, have you heard if it runs into conflict with the Mac?
It will run into conflict if you see this colon and then 5500. I hope it says. I don't know. I don't see from here, but I don't have my blippy glasses. But anyway, this is the port. So if you have something else running on the same port, it's gonna run into issues. But
Okay.
this is not standard port, so you probably won't have anything running on 5500. So except this live server. But you don't have to use it. Like I said, you can just go and refresh your page manually every time you make changes. This can just help you be faster.
So basically, this gives you the opportunity to edit your code if you're running in between systems, or it just, ultimately, if you're using one computer and then another, it allows you to save it, and so that you can modify or edit the code, correct?
You can just faster see your changes. So let's say I have something like this set up like that on my computer, and then I'm making changes here. So I say hello again, and then I save my file. I gotta go and click refresh to see the changes. But if I have it running like this, as soon as I go and let's see, let's do it manually. So I'm gonna save my file. Boom. You see, it refreshed the page for me. So I can just faster see what's going on. That's all. So those are the 3 plugins that I would recommend you checking out, and there's like thousands of other plugins that you can install and check and see what they do and all that. So again, plugins extensions are here, and I think in assignment I ask you just to try to install at least one, just so you can see how that works, and then you can explore on your own. You can have 1 or you can have 100 plugins. It's up to you what you do, what you're gonna use for, and like I have this here stuff. So it depends what you. Some people have a lot more. You
And
do-
on the assignment that you want us to submit one of those plugins, how you just want us to submit the same files, or?
I think I'm asking you to just do a screenshot of the Visual Studio Code with this opened right here, so it can show you that you have enabled at
One of
least
them.
at least one of them.
Oh,
Just so you
okay.
can try, click install, and see what's going on. And then, okay, so let's go quickly on the second one. And then the second one, we said we're gonna use something is called SAS, which is extended, or how should I say it with simple words, like CSS, but with a lot more capability. Regular CSS as you guys did in Web 1, but just has a lot more capabilities. You can do functions, variables, and we'll go over those things later on, but we need something to compile that as CSS file into regular CSS. So because our browsers, they don't know what that CSS is. So we need to compile it back to CSS so we can do it as we did here, the regular styles.css, right? So the one software that is free that I'm recommending you guys here that I'm gonna be using for the class, but there's a lot of others. There's command line only and stuff. It's called Koala, and I have the link in the modules where you can go and download it, and it looks like this. I already have it installed here. I'm just gonna show you. Where is the? I hate when I forget my mouse because I'm just so slower with the tab. Come on, boy. Okay. Here. So this is this Koala software. So I'm gonna remove this real quick. At the beginning you won't have any projects there, but obviously we want to add the same way we added our project folder to Visual Studio Code. It's the same way we will add our project folder to this Koala software. So I'm gonna click on this plus sign here and go to my folder is on my desktop, and I'm gonna select week 1 project, click select, and it's here inside, and it's automatically looking for some CSS files or JavaScript, things like that. So right now it's showing me that I have style.css here, and you see it's grayed out because really we don't need to do anything to CSS. CSS is browsers understand CSS, so we don't need to do anything with that. So what I'm asking you here is just to install GitHub and just add your project to install Koala. I'm sorry, to install Koala and just add your project folder to the Koala here, and that's pretty much all we're gonna do right now. But we will use this for later, and just take a screenshot and submit that.
Where did you get the plugins again? I'm sorry.
So it's right here, this square. And when you hover over, just wait for a little bit, it's gonna show you extensions. It says extensions right there underneath the mouse. See here? Right here.
But you don't provide them in Canvas, right? We just
I'm
put
sorry?
them in the Canvas assignment, you don't provide them there?
I provide the names.
Just the names?
Yes, so what you would do is, let me just copy this because I might misspell it or something. So you go to extensions, you open this, and then here in search, you would type that name of that extension. So let me remove my Beautify extension so I can install it for you so you can see. So here is installed for me. I'm gonna uninstall it really quick. It says reload to finish the job, so it reloaded, and right now I don't have that. So I'm gonna go ahead and type Beautify. Oh, did I lose? I probably lost my. No, I probably lost my internet connection or something. I'm sorry?
It needs an E after the B.
It needs what?
An E after the B. Beautify. B-E-A.
So I put wrong there in the assignment probably. Okay. But you can debug that, right? All right. So you see it shows up. There is a lot of other Beautify kind of versions, but this first one, and you just click, it's good. So you just click on install here, or if you click on the plugin itself, it's gonna open this page. The documentation, you just click install, and it's very fast. So then you click reload, and this will close the Visual Studio Code and open it up again. And you click reload to activate, and it's activated now. And when you click to your extensions, you can see it here now. And you just take screenshot of that and show it.
Just that it was installed.
Yes, just
Yeah.
so I can see, because I don't know how other way you can show me, you know.
Yeah,
So
it'll just show you installed on the
yes,
side.
so and you can try some other plugins. Go ahead if you want and just search or go to YouTube and check what are the newest 2018 best Visual Studio Code plugins, for example, and just search for them if you want on your own. The thing is that most of the time is just depends on the project that you're working on, what language you're using. Are you doing JavaScript or Vue or some frameworks or whatnot? There's a lot of plugins that you can use for stuff like that, or you do mobile development or whatnot. So I don't know. So the fourth one, since it's not that difficult, we won't do anything. We're just gonna set up our account and download this little software. Let's do it for this week, and we'll maybe touch on it again next week. But there is
We
a.
already have GitHub, can we just,
You have GitHub already?
uh-huh,
Yeah,
You
that's
wanna
good. You
create a new one,
no
or-
no use the one that you have. That's fine.
just create like a separate folder for this class?
Just a separate repository. But this is the last software that we're gonna install on our computers is GitHub for desktop. It's called GitHub for desktop, and it's also installed on these computers here. If you don't want to install it on your own, you can use it here. There are some issues I think from Web 1, but we can, if you run into issues on these computers, let me know and we'll check it out. But if you're using on your own computer, it's a good little software. And Austin and Adrian we did everything Git related through command line last time, but it was maybe a little bit confusing. So I decided this time to use this little program for this. So first you will go to github.com. If you don't have account there, you will create one. It's free. I hope I'm gonna be able to log in after it, if I remember. So here, sign up. Right, it shows you this little form right away. You see, that's a good UX, right? Right there, it knows why. They know why would you come to GitHub.com, and they show you form like right there in your eyes, right? So you don't have to look for the form. A lot of sites you will see you go there, and the sign up is that little icon in the top right. Of course, we are used to look for top right for sign up, but why you don't show me form like they did here? I mean, that's just simple thing, but it's awesome, right? You understand what I'm saying? They're just helping you out. That's a very, very important when you're thinking about your website. Why people coming on your website, what they want to do, and that's how you deciding what UI will look like. And you guys did a lot of that in Web 1, and also I think Vivian is teaching you those things in and Susan in instructional designs and what was the other one? But I'm sure you already had in some classes those work around what your users should expect about in front of your presentation, for example. That's all connected, right? So here you would pick your username, your email, and your password, and when you click sign up for GitHub, you will be signed up if that email and username is not already there. So I'm gonna try to log in. If I remember my password. Boom! Nice. Usually I forget my passwords. Anyway, so now I'm here, and that's all we're gonna do for this class. We're just gonna create an account. If you already have your account, you're good. You don't have to create another one. But we need to have our GitHub for desktop software, that little program installed, which will help us to work with our Git repositories from that UI instead of from the command line. So that one is, let's check. I have the link, pretty sure I have the link in the module there for this class. So if you go to dev setup, where is not the assignments, but the module itself. So here you have the link for Visual Studio Code, we have the link for GitHub for desktop, you have link for Koala, and then you can start reading about SAS, why we need Koala, right? So, and we did a little bit of that in last class, who was there. I'm not sure that you guys did that in Web 1, right? Nope, No one did SAS in
Yeah,
Web 1,
we did.
right? Yes?
I did it, we've done it in 2 different classes.
Okay. But anyway, if you are not familiar with SAS, you can just take a look and just read through it really quick to see why we need to use. But basically, Koala will pre-process SAS and make it to be regular CSS, so that our browsers can understand it. So if you click on this link for GitHub for desktop, it will recognize what your system is, and then you can download it there. And it looks like this. If I can show you up there. Oh, where are you? It has little pink. It goes well with our MVC colors. First time you launch it, is gonna ask you to log in with your GitHub account, and that way it's gonna connect your GitHub with this little program, and then later on we'll start working with our repository and all that. So basically, just download this software and log in with your GitHub, and that's pretty much all for now. We won't go through anything else here, and that's